Hello and welcome to the British Dapper, and today we're talking about a sartorial journey, breaking away from t-shirts, jeans and trainers. So today you join me on a journey from transitioning from wearing those jeans, t-shirts and trainers or hoodies and trying to move it away from that, break away from that look and try to look a little bit more age appropriate, or maybe you want to change the way that you look overall, change your image, or maybe you're just looking for inspiration where you dress a lot more formally and maybe too age appropriate and want to inject a little bit of life and a bit of colour into your casual wear. Maybe you've just not wearing casual stuff at the moment and you want a little bit of inspiration. So hopefully this video will accommodate all of those things. But let's just look at a typical sort of image. So here you can see we've got an outdated t-shirt with a logo on it, not in the best of condition. We've got a pair of jeans that are a little bit washed out and, to be fair, could do with a change, and a pair of trainers that are really running shoes. And my personal view on this is that running shoes are great if you're running. If you're walking around town, then maybe they're not such a good look, especially if you want to elevate your style or the way that you dress and change the way you dress to maybe being a little bit more age appropriate. So if we take that image, and maybe another image might be this one here, where the difference is obviously we're wearing a baseball cap, a hoodie, and maybe not the most age appropriate look now, typically for me and maybe for many others. And if you want to break away from that, then hopefully today's suggestions might give you that a little bit of education and a little bit of knowledge to move away from that outdated look. So when I say an outdated look, a lot of people still try to dress like they're in their 20s or in their 30s, and that's fine if they're that sort of person that they can get away with that. But if you put on, say, you know, a couple of stone over the years, you're certainly not looking 20 or 30 anymore. So those things can actually impact the way that you're going to look. And especially if we're still talking about wearing jeans, t-shirts and things like that. And if we are looking at elevating our overall trend and look to be a more sartorial, or you're tired of dressing that way and want to experience a different way of dressing, these tips could be quite helpful to you. They are part of a longer journey. This is part of a 5-part series, and should give you tools along the way to move towards a more sartorial look, wearing a suit, evening wear, and even to the top end where we're looking more dandy-like and being more expressive in the way that we dress. So the first thing we're going to look at is change the way we look at that t-shirt. So here we have one that's got a logo on it. The problem with that is that a logo is quite attention grabbing in the first place, tends to be a little bit more cartoonish potentially, and also it doesn't necessarily do you any favours because the logo might not be really what you want to convey. But that doesn't mean to say you have to ditch those t-shirts, because they might go under something else. For example, something like this, or it could go underneath a jumper, or it could go underneath a polo neck jumper, a roll neck jumper. So you're still using them, but you're not actually displaying them. Let's think about this very carefully. So we're changing the t-shirt. Let's say we're going to keep the trainers on for now and we're going to keep the jeans. So My idea would be to wear maybe something along the lines of a polo shirt. So it's got a little bit of a collar on it, it's got a little bit of detail, it's plain. You can get them in a range of colours and you still get a little bit like a t-shirt feel when you're wearing them. So it's not taking you too far out of your comfort zone, but it's breaking down those little barriers that a general t-shirt would create. Potentially more age appropriate as well, and can be worn with not just jeans, but you can wear it with a pair of chinos, even a pair of trousers, and it could look really good in the summer months to break that barrier down. Could wear something like this, which is a Paul Costello zip top jumper, and it is made of fine merino wool, and it's a lovely jumper to wear. Long sleeve as well, so potentially replaces that hoodie as well. So a nice light jumper, got a little bit of detail in the collar, we've got a zip, so it's a little bit more than just a polo shirt, and it gives you a little bit more warmth as well. And being 100% natural fibre, it is really a lovely material, feels lovely, and it's going to last you a long time. And not particularly expensive, about £40, £50 will get you something like this, and it will last you a long while. So something to consider about a staple piece in a new wardrobe. Something else you might consider is, for example, a lambswool jumper or a cotton jumper or sweater without anything underneath it. That might give you a little bit more of a casual feel to it and replace that t-shirt or even the hoodie. And it does blur the edges a little bit, and I would say, okay, so you're not comfortable in getting out of those jeans just yet, so we're now moving into a different phase. But what I would say is, with those original jeans we saw, where they're a little bit tatty, a little bit worn, a bit dated, then maybe change them, get a new pair, get a fresh pair, get them tailored to your length to make sure there's no bunching at the bottom, get them to look really good on you. And I would suggest you need a mid blue to a dark blue colour, which are a lot more age appropriate, and they do contrast really well with other items that you're going to wear in your wardrobe. So if you're not comfortable in just letting go of those jeans just yet, then maybe just zhuzh them up a little bit, freshen them up a bit, and you've got a completely different look just because they are fresher. Shoes is another thing. Now, we're talking about those trainers. Now, this is going to be probably the most difficult transition point. If you're so used to wearing trainers because they give you a level of comfort while you're wearing them, you walk around in them all day, you've broken them in, they're really comfortable on your feet, then why would you want to put a new pair of shoes on and be uncomfortable? So, but what I would say is, if you want to do it in stages and step away because you're a little bit worried or concerned about how your peers might view you, and you're not comfortable with making that major step change, then maybe consider this. Instead of wearing those running shoes, those white sneaker trainers that have been beaten up a little bit, then maybe change them for something else. Maybe something along the lines of a pair of skate shoes. So a pair of skate shoes that are plain, no logo on them or limited logo, no contrasting colours in them. Try and keep them very much a neutral colour. They go really well, and they are a transition piece between those trainers and brighter coloured footwear to normal shoes. So they bridge the gap. They are not formal, they're very informal shoes, but they can really give you a good look. As an example, here is something that I put together, and this is basically what we're talking about, this transitional piece. So in this image, what you can see is I'm wearing that Paul Costello jumper, zip top jumper. We're wearing a fresher pair of jeans, and we're wearing some skate shoes, which are like a nubuck leather, suede leather effect with a gum sole on them. So they are very informal, but this certainly does look more appealing than the outfit we were showing you earlier. So when it comes to that footwear change, maybe because we're so used to wearing trainers that are essentially quite comfortable compared to wearing shoes. The question about shoes I'm going to address later on in another video, but for the transition point of view, moving away from a traditional sort of running shoe or trainer, then there are a number of things that we could do. So if we're used to that comfortable slip-on, instantly comfortable sort of feel of a training shoe or something along those lines, then maybe transition to something like this. Now this is a suede chucker boot. Great, gives you that comfortable feeling, crepe sole, great for just walking around town. Just elevates it slightly from wearing just those standard training shoes, and it's a very casual look. Another one that we consider is maybe a Chelsea boot. Now a Chelsea boot goes really well underneath a pair of jeans, very casual, comfortable to wear, easy to put on, slip on and off, and not a bad look even with jeans. You might consider something like this. So based on a chucker boot, we've actually got some detailing in the toe cap, not quite the same as the chucker boot, a little bit more formalised, but it goes really well with jeans and something like a top, rather than those jeans and a t-shirt look. And it does elevate it enough, but not that you'd stand out too much in the crowd. So it's all about being confident wearing that change of clothes, and this I think would give you that subtle change and make you look good whilst walking around town or meeting friends for a drink or something like that. You wouldn't look that much out of place. But if it's the summer months, then maybe you could consider something like this. So this is, as you can see, a navy coloured shoe, and this is just a canvas plimsoll, white base, navy upper, white lacing, white stitching, very typical, but good in the summer months, casual looking, goes well with jeans, and not a bad thing to wear compared to wearing those trainers that are grubby potentially or dated. So something else to consider there. So something else to consider is, instead of wearing that hoodie or that t-shirt, maybe a roll neck jumper. Now I wear a lot of these in the spring, autumn and winter periods, and they can vary in thickness as well, but a thin merino wool one does create a lot of interest. It keeps you warm in the winter and cooler months. It goes well under a jacket or a standalone as an individual item, but it does change from that t-shirt look, and it breaks away from that hoodie look as well. And it's not a bad look overall, and it's very comfortable around the neck, so it's not stuffy like a shirt that some people seem to have that aversion to wearing a shirt because it's too tight and it's too uncomfortable with a tie, and that generally comes down to a bad fit shirt. So we're easing you into a transition here, and we will talk about shirts in a later video in more detail. But the idea is at this stage we're looking at inspiration and ways to move you from the, remember this look, move you away from this look to something a little bit more age appropriate, maybe creating a slightly different version of yourself, giving you the confidence along the way, and not making too bigger steps. Now, the one thing I would say about making transitions from wearing jeans and t-shirts to that higher level of wearing suits and other items like that is that that journey is not set in time. So for some people, they'll make a transition very quickly, and within a few weeks, because of their self-confidence, they will transition within a matter of weeks from wearing jeans and t-shirts into wearing a suit and wearing things like that more often. Others, on the other hand, might take a lot longer, and this transition, this journey that I'm going to take you on over the next 5 videos is designed to be very flexible about the time, and I'm just showing you some 5 key stages where you can change at your leisure to that transition from those jeans and t-shirts all the way up to wearing suits. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with wearing jeans and t-shirts and trainers. If that's where you want to stay, that's fine. But if you do want to make that change, and a step change at that, and do it progressively and move into a more age appropriate look, then I think the tips that I've given you today on changing that t-shirt or that hoodie, or changing those jeans and changing the footwear should move you to a point where you're dressing a little bit more casually but looking more age appropriate, looking a bit more sharper than you would have done, and I think you're on the journey already. So the next video we're going to cover is we're going to look at maybe changing those jeans, maybe introducing a jacket of some description, and moving on to potentially introducing a patterned shirt or something along those lines. And not forgetting the footwear as well. Maybe we're going to change that footwear for a little bit more age appropriate from those trainers or those colourful skate shoes or something along those lines, and move you more into a more sartorial look. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give us a thumbs up. If you'd like to subscribe, then please feel free to do so. We love constructive comments, and I'm interested in your views on those early transition points between wearing jeans, t-shirts and trainers, hoodies, baseball caps, that sort of thing, and how you would move to a little bit more of a more elegant, casual style. We also have a Buy Me a Coffee page, so if you'd like to make a contribution to the channel, then please feel free to do so. I'll put a link down below so you can make that contribution. So until next time, take care.